The knock on the door came just as the afternoon sun leaned heavily against the cracked windows, turning dust into floating gold. It was the kind of knock that carried desperation in its rhythm, not loud enough to demand attention, not soft enough to be ignored. For Aaron Whitmore, a poor single father already carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders, that knock would quietly change everything he believed about kindness, fate, and the unseen battles people carry behind polite smiles. If you believe that small acts of kindness can create life-changing miracles, take a moment right now to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel Gentle Hearts. Your support helps keep these stories alive. Aaron lived in a modest one-bedroom apartment above a closed-down tailor shop, its faded sign still clinging to the building like a memory that refused to let go. Daylight filled the room unevenly, slipping through chipped blinds and landing on second-hand furniture that had known better days. He had lost his wife 3 years earlier to illness, and since then, every sunrise felt like a reminder that he had to keep going for someone else. His 8-year-old son, Noah, was his entire world. Every decision, every sacrifice, every silent prayer was shaped around that small boy's future. Life had narrowed into routines. Mornings meant getting Noah ready for school, afternoons meant long shifts unloading boxes at a distribution warehouse, and evenings meant counting coins at the kitchen table to see how much farther they could stretch. There was no room for mistakes. No safety net. Kindness, though still alive in Aaron's heart, often felt like a luxury he could no longer afford. That afternoon, Aaron wasn't expecting anyone. When he opened the door, he found a teenage girl standing in the hallway, sunlight catching in her dark hair and highlighting the exhaustion on her face. She looked no older than 17, her clothes neat but worn, her posture stiff like someone trying not to fall apart. She carried a small backpack and nothing else. Her eyes scanned the space behind him with caution, not entitlement. Aaron hesitated. The world wasn't kind to people who trusted too easily, especially men with little to lose. He thought of Noah in the next room, finishing homework at the kitchen table. Every instinct told him to be careful. Yet another part of him, the part that still remembered what it felt like to be alone, couldn't bring himself to shut the door. The girl explained she had missed her bus, that she had nowhere safe to go until morning, that she would leave early and not cause trouble. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. That somehow made it harder. Aaron looked down the hallway, the afternoon light stretching longer, shadows growing. He imagined the streets at night, cold and indifferent. He imagined Noah asking why someone needed help and why his father had turned them away. The answer didn't sit well in his chest. That he let her in. The apartment felt even smaller with a stranger inside. Aaron offered her a glass of water and the edge of the couch. Noah peeked curiously from his chair, sensing something different but trusting his father enough not to question it. The girl thanked them quietly, her voice steady but thin, like it might break if pushed too hard. Aaron spent the rest of the afternoon restless. He cooked a simple meal of rice and beans, apologizing silently for its simplicity. They ate together in the warm daylight, the sun still visible through the window, casting soft light over a moment that felt unexpectedly human. The girl ate slowly, like someone who hadn't eaten properly in a while, but she never complained. As evening approached, Aaron laid out an old blanket on the couch. It wasn't much, but it was clean. He told himself it was only for one night. Just one. In the quiet that followed, he lay awake long after Noah had fallen asleep, listening to the hum of the city outside, wondering if kindness would cost him more than he could afford. The next morning arrived bright and clear, sunlight spilling generously across the room. Aaron woke early, as always, and prepared for work. The girl was already awake, sitting upright, backpack ready, like she had been waiting not to overstay her welcome. She thanked him again, her eyes lingering briefly on Noah, who waved sleepily from the doorway. She left just as the city fully woke, swallowed by the brightness of day. Aaron thought that was the end of it, but life, it seemed, had other plans. 3 days later, a sleek black car pulled up outside the old tailor shop, its polished surface reflecting the sun in sharp flashes. Aaron noticed it from the warehouse window during his break, dismissed it as coincidence, and forgot about it until he saw the same car waiting outside his building that evening. Two well-dressed men stepped out, their presence out of place among peeling paint and cracked concrete. They asked for Aaron by name. His stomach tightened. Panic rose uninvited, fueled by years of knowing how quickly things could go wrong for people like him. They explained that they were looking for a young girl who had stayed in his apartment briefly. Aaron's mind raced. He wondered if he had made a terrible mistake. He wondered if kindness had finally come back to punish him. Then they told him the truth. The girl was named Clara Monroe. She was the daughter of a self-made millionaire, one of the most powerful real estate developers in the region. She had run away after an argument, desperate to be treated like a normal person, to escape a life guarded by money and expectation. Her family had been searching for her frantically. Security cameras, private investigators, and resources Aaron could barely imagine had been mobilized. Yet she had been safe only because one struggling stranger had chosen compassion over caution. Aaron felt dizzy. The world seemed to tilt. The men handed him a letter. Clara had insisted they give it to him personally. In it, she wrote about how that one night had reminded her that kindness still existed without conditions. That the warmth of a small apartment and a shared meal meant more to her than any luxury she had known. She wrote about Noah's smile, about how safe she felt, about how she wanted her father to know that goodness couldn't be bought. Aaron sat at the kitchen table afterward, the same one where he counted coins, and stared at the letter as sunlight streamed in. His hands shook. Not from fear this time, but from the realization that even the smallest choices could ripple outward in ways he could never predict. Weeks passed. Life returned to its familiar rhythm, or so Aaron thought. Then an envelope arrived, thick and heavy, addressed in careful print. Inside was an invitation to a foundation launch, one dedicated to supporting single parents, housing assistance, and education programs for children in need. Clara's father had started it after hearing her story. At the bottom of the letter was a note explaining that Aaron had been offered a full-time position managing one of the foundation's community centers, with stable pay, benefits, and housing support. Aaron reread it until the words sank in. The change didn't happen overnight. It never does. But slowly, things shifted. The apartment above the tailor shop was replaced with a small but bright home closer to Noah's school. The kitchen table remained, but the worry etched into its surface softened. Aaron still worked hard, still taught Noah the value of humility and effort, but now there was room to breathe. Sometimes, in the middle of the day, when sunlight poured through the windows just right, Aaron would think back to that knock on the door. He would wonder how close he had come to turning away a miracle simply because he was afraid. If this story has touched your heart, if it reminded you that kindness can change lives in ways we may never fully see, please take a moment to like this video, comment, share it, and subscribe to Gentle Hearts. Your engagement helps these stories reach others who need hope today. Before we end, leave a comment sharing what kindness means to you, or a moment when a small act changed your life, because sometimes, all it takes is one open door in the daylight to remind the world that compassion still exists, and that even the poorest hearts can hold the richest gifts of all.